Ladies, let me tell you all something. A real man doesn't get emotionally attached easy. Oh no, baby, it ain't like that. See, a man can lay next to you, share meals with you, laugh with you, and still keep his heart in a cage. But when that man finally gets emotionally attached to a woman, that's when things start happening. And I ain't talking about little stuff. I'm talking about life-shifting stuff. I'm talking about sees you as his forever kind of stuff. Let me break this down for you. When a man truly gets emotionally attached, these 7 things, without fail, always happen. 1. He starts protecting your heart like it's his own. When he's attached, your emotions become his concern. He ain't just checking on how your day went. He's paying attention to your mood, your energy, your silence. He'll say, "What's wrong?" even when you said, "Nothing." Why? Because now he feels what you feel. That emotional connection, it's like a soul tether. 2. He makes you a priority, even when he's busy. Look, men are naturally wired to chase their purpose. But when he's emotionally tied to you, he finds ways to keep you close while chasing his goals. He doesn't let success become an excuse for distance. He includes you in the process. He carves out time, even when there ain't none to carve. 3. He starts opening up, voluntarily. Now this one right here, it's big. Men don't open up easy. We're taught to hold it in. But when we're attached, oh, now he's talking. About childhood stuff, about dreams, about fears he's never spoken out loud. If a man starts letting you into his emotional vault, girl, that ain't casual. That's connection 4. He becomes jealous, but in a respectful way. See, not the toxic kind. Nah, we don't support that. But there's a kind of healthy jealousy that only shows up when he's emotionally invested. He don't want to lose what he finally values. So if he suddenly starts watching how other dudes look at you, or how you respond to them, it ain't control. It's because you matter now. 5. He brings you into his inner world. That's his family. His childhood friends, his plans, his pain. When a man is emotionally attached, he starts saying, "Come with me." Not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. You ain't just the woman he dates. You become part of the core circle. 6. He becomes emotionally reactive to your presence. Watch his face when you walk into the room. Look at how his energy lifts when he hears your voice. You'll notice, without even realizing it, that your presence affects him deeply. He smiles more. He softens. He becomes more alive around you. That's the emotional bond doing what it does best. 7. He starts planning a future with you. Naturally, he's not just saying, "Someday." He's saying us. You'll hear things like, "We should go there next summer. I want us to get a place like that." Or, "I can see you being the mother of my children." It's not forced. It flows. Because when the heart attaches, the future becomes ours, not just his. So ladies, don't let words fool you. Look for the signs in the behavior. If a man is showing you these 7 things, baby, he ain't just hanging around. He's attached, emotionally, spiritually, all the way. And when a man gives you that kind of heart, you ain't just his woman, you're his everything. When a man becomes emotionally attached to a woman, one of the very first signs is how protective he becomes over her emotions. It's not just about physical protection anymore. It goes deeper than that. He starts paying attention to things that most people overlook. He notices the tone in your voice, the slight change in your facial expression, the way you suddenly go quiet when something bothers you. Even when you say you're fine, he knows better. He doesn't just hear your words, he listens to the silence behind them. That's what happens when he's connected to you on a soul level. He begins to prioritize how you feel even over how he feels. He wants to make sure you're emotionally safe with him, that you feel like you can breathe and be yourself around him. He doesn't just check on you because it's polite. He checks on you because it matters. Your joy becomes his joy. Your pain becomes something he feels too, even if he can't fix it. He will try though. He will try with everything in him, because when he's emotionally bonded, he wants to shield you from emotional harm, not add to it. He becomes extra cautious with his words. He will think twice before saying something harsh. He'll pause before reacting in a way that might hurt you. That's not weakness, that's growth. That's love working in real time. He understands that emotional safety is rare, and once he's attached, he wants to be the place where you feel the safest, not the most guarded. You'll see him step in when someone disrespects you. Not out of ego, but out of genuine care. You'll notice how he picks up on your triggers and avoids crossing those boundaries. He may not even fully understand everything you've been through, but he respects it. He might ask more questions about your past. Not to be nosy, but to understand how to love you better. And when you cry, he won't just sit there helpless. He'll hold you. He'll comfort you. He'll try to say the right thing, even if he doesn't always get it right. But the effort will be there. He won't brush off your feelings. He won't call you dramatic. He won't minimize your emotions. He'll validate them. Because now, your emotional world matters to him more than it ever did before. This is the kind of man who will defend you in rooms you're not even in. He'll speak highly of you when you're not around. He'll be mindful of how others treat you. He becomes sensitive to your emotional rhythm, attuned to your ups and downs, and aware of the emotional space you're in. He won't always get it perfect, but he'll try to become a consistent presence of peace in your life. You'll find him softening in areas where he used to be guarded. You'll find him asking if you're okay more often. You'll feel that his concern is no longer surface level. It's rooted. It's consistent. It's real. When a man becomes emotionally attached to a woman, his priorities begin to shift in a way that's subtle but powerful. No matter how busy he is, no matter how many responsibilities are on his plate, he finds a way to make time for her. It's not that his life suddenly gets easier or less demanding, it's that she becomes part of what matters most to him. He might have a packed schedule, endless meetings, deadlines to meet, and personal goals to chase. But in the middle of all that, he'll still send a message, make a call, check in, or show up when she needs him. And he won't do it out of obligation. He'll do it because there's a genuine desire to stay connected. The bond he feels with her begins to influence how he organizes his time and energy. Where other people might fall through the cracks of his busy life, she becomes the exception. She becomes the person he wants to share his time with, not just someone he fits in when it's convenient. When he's emotionally attached, a man doesn't look at being present for her as a chore. He doesn't see effort as a burden. He sees it as a privilege, as something meaningful, as something that reinforces the bond between them. He begins to rearrange things, even if it's just little moments here and there, so he can make room for her in his day. If she's having a rough day, he'll make time to listen. If she wants to share something exciting, he'll want to be the first to hear it. If she needs him, he'll find a way to be there, even when it's hard. When he's busy chasing success, he doesn't forget to keep her emotionally close. He shares his wins with her. He brings her into his world. He lets her know she's not a distraction from his purpose. She's a part of it. She becomes a source of inspiration, motivation, and peace. A man who's emotionally attached doesn't just carve out time when everything's calm. He does it even in the chaos, even in the storm, because emotional attachment makes him want to stay close even when life is trying to pull him in other directions. And it's not always about grand gestures either. Sometimes it's the consistent little things. Sending a quick message before a meeting, calling during a short break, showing up with her favorite drink after a long day, or just saying, "I'm thinking about you." When things are overwhelming, he's present, not just physically, but emotionally. He listens, he remembers, he cares. He wants her to feel seen, valued, and never like she's an afterthought. Even in moments when he's not able to be with her, he finds ways to make her feel connected. He's mindful about not making her feel like she's competing with his work, his friends, or his distractions. She doesn't have to guess if she matters to him. He shows her through his actions. When a man becomes emotionally attached, something remarkable starts to shift in the way he communicates. He begins to open up, not because he's pushed or pressured, because he wants to. This is huge because most men are taught to keep their emotions locked away, to stay strong, to be silent about what hurts, what scares them, what dreams they secretly hold inside. But when emotional attachment happens, that wall starts to come down brick by brick. He finds himself wanting to share parts of himself he hasn't shared with anyone, sometimes not even with himself before. He'll begin to talk about moments from his childhood that shaped who he is, the things that made him feel small, the times he felt like he wasn't enough, or the victories that no one ever celebrated. He'll talk about the people he lost, the lessons that hurt, the regrets he carries, the hopes he still clings to. And it's not for sympathy, it's for connection. He shares because he trusts. He shares because her presence feels safe. He shares because now, her knowing the real him matters. It's no longer about showing the strong front, the perfect version. It's about being real. That level of vulnerability is a sign of deep emotional attachment. Because for a man, opening up is an intimate act. He's letting her into a space that very few, if any, have seen. He might fumble through the words at first. He might pause, go quiet, but try to explain feelings he hasn't quite named yet. But she'll notice the effort. She'll see how he's allowing himself to be soft in front of her. He'll talk about his goals in a different way. Not just what he wants to accomplish, but why. She'll hear about the fear behind the ambition, the pressure he puts on himself, the reasons why success feels so personal. He'll share his future plans, not just his own, but with her in mind. He'll say things like, I want us to, instead of, I want to. And when he's going through something tough, instead of shutting her out like he might have done before, he'll come to her. He'll say things like, I don't know what to do, or this is really messing with me. Not because he expects her to solve it, but because her presence helps him carry it. The conversations become more layered. They move beyond surface level talk. He starts asking deeper questions too, because he genuinely wants to understand her at the same level he's showing himself. It's not just about talking more, it's about sharing more meaningfully. She becomes the person he confides in, the one he turns to when life feels heavy or when he just needs to feel seen. And with every story, every confession, every glimpse into his inner world, he builds an emotional bridge that brings them closer. When a man becomes emotionally attached to a woman, there's a certain kind of jealousy that starts to rise within him, but it's not the toxic, controlling kind that people often associate with insecurity. This jealousy is quiet, respectful, and deeply human. It's not about ownership, it's about emotional investment. He starts to realize that her presence in his life means something, that her attention and energy are no longer just nice things to have. They've become important. He notices when other men are around her, not because he doesn't trust her, but because he knows the kind of woman she is, the kind of energy she carries, the way she lights up a room and draws people in. He becomes more aware of how others respond to her, how they look at her, how they talk to her, and somewhere deep inside there's a stir of emotion that says, I hope she still chooses me. That feeling doesn't come from weakness. It comes from attachment. It comes from care. It comes from the fact that her presence now holds a place in his heart that he doesn't want to risk losing. He might not say it out loud, but it will show in small ways. He might hold a hand a little tighter in public. He might stand a little closer. He might become more affectionate, more attentive, more expressive when he feels that energy shift around her. Not because he's trying to mark territory, but he wants her to feel secure, chosen, protected, and deeply appreciated. He might ask a few more questions than usual, not in an interrogating way, but because he genuinely wants to stay connected. He wants to make sure he's not becoming distant, not slipping into a place where she starts to look elsewhere for the things he once provided emotionally. He becomes more intentional about showing her that he sees her, values her, and notices the little things. That slight edge of jealousy also reminds him not to take her for granted. It humbles him. It wakes him up. It sharpens his focus. It fuels his desire to continue showing up for her emotionally, not just physically. And it's not that he doesn't want her to talk to other people or have a life outside of him. He just doesn't want to be replaced by someone who sees what he sees in her, but didn't put in the emotional work to build what they've built together. He might even joke about it sometimes in a playful way, but underneath the latter is a very real emotion. A fear of losing something rare, something deep, something that touched his heart in a way nothing else did. It's a kind of vulnerability that he can't always explain, but it lives in the way he watches her, the way he listens to her, the way he stays close even when his words are few. It's the kind of jealousy that makes him love her harder, protect her softer, and appreciate her more fully. When a man is emotionally attached to a woman, he doesn't just let her into his life, he brings her into his inner world. This isn't about showing her what everyone else sees. It's about giving her access to the parts of him that are usually hidden, guarded, or only revealed to the people he trusts the most. When emotional attachment is real, she becomes more than just a girlfriend or partner. She becomes someone he begins to build emotional intimacy with on a deeper level. He starts introducing her to his closest friends, the ones who know his character, not just his reputation. He brings her around his family because that's sacred ground for him. Family is where his roots are, where his childhood is stored, where his story began, and letting her into that space means he sees her as someone with long-term significance. She doesn't just get to hear stories about his past. She gets to see where those stories happened, meet the people in them, and feel the atmosphere that shaped him. He'll take her to the places that hold meaning to him. That favorite restaurant he used to go to with his dad. That old neighborhood where he played as a kid. That spot where he goes when he needs to think. These aren't just dates. They're emotional invitations. He's saying, here's where I come from. Here's what matters to me. Here's who I am when no one's looking. He also starts letting her into the day-to-day details of his life. She becomes someone he updates, not because she asks, but because he wants her to know. He tells her about the meeting that went well, the project that's stressing him out, the friend that's going through something, the thoughts that are sitting on his chest. And when he's quiet, she'll still feel his presence because he's found ways to keep her close even without words. He might share his playlist with her, the songs that speak to his soul. He might ask her opinion about something he's working on, not just because he wants input, but because he values how she thinks. He might start talking about things like finances, plans, fears about the future, not because it's comfortable, but because it's real. He starts to blend his world with hers, not in a controlling way, but in a way that says, I'm not just living for me anymore. He becomes interested in the people she's close to. Not to monitor her, but to understand the world she comes from too. Her family becomes important to him. Her dreams start to matter to him. Her struggles start to weigh on him, and it's not a burden. He's no longer just existing beside her, he's walking with her, side by side, convested, emotionally aligned. And in his mind, the line between and we begins to blur because now she's part of the life he envisions and the legacy he's starting to build. When a man is emotionally attached to a woman, his body language, energy, and facial expressions begin to tell the truth before his words ever do. He starts reacting emotionally to her presence in a way that is instinctive and genuine. When she enters a room, his whole energy changes. His face lights up, his shoulders relax, and there's a shift in his focus that becomes visible to anyone paying attention. It's not forced, it's not something he controls, it just happens naturally because her presence brings him emotional comfort, excitement, and connection. The sound of her voice becomes a source of calm for him. Her laughter becomes music to his ears. Her absence starts to feel like a space missing something important. And the moment she returns, even if it's just walking back into the room or sending a quick message, he feels a sense of emotional reconnection that grounds him. It's not just about missing her when she's gone. It's about feeling her when she's near. He starts noticing every little thing about her, not just because he's paying attention, but because his heart is fully involved. He becomes more expressive with his eyes. He holds eye contact longer. He touches her more gently. He listens more deeply. He responds not just to her words, but to her emotions. If she's happy, he smiles with a kind of satisfaction that shows her joy is his joy. If she's upset, he becomes restless, trying to find ways to bring her back to peace. His emotional response to her becomes active, not passive. He mirrors her energy without even realizing it, and that's because her emotional state has now become something he feels within himself. His love language begins to shift as well. Even if he wasn't affectionate before, he starts showing it. Even if he wasn't great with words, he starts trying. The emotional attachment makes him stretch himself in new ways, all because her presence brings out a side of him that he doesn't show to the world. He may start doing small things just to see her smile. Bringing her favorite snack, remembering something she mentioned in passing, playing her favorite song when she least expects it. These small actions are his way of saying, "You matter to me," without having to say a word. His world starts revolving around moments they share, and his emotional memory becomes tied to the experiences they create together. Even ordinary things begin to feel special when she's involved. He starts craving the quiet, everyday moments with her. The late-night talks, the shared silences, the inside jokes, the simple touches. Because those are the things that feed his emotional connection. He may start imagining future moments with her in them, and it's not about planning, it's about feeling. Her presence begins to shape his sense of comfort, his peace, and his happiness. When she's near, he feels at ease, inspired, motivated, emotionally balanced. And even when life gets stressful, her presence becomes something he leans on rather than hides from.